CNN is taking action after the White House ban our chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta. A lawsuit has been filed against the president and others in the Trump administration. Brian Selter joins us now. Brian, walk us through this.
This is a historic moment for press freedom in the United States. A lawsuit by CNN and Jim Acosta against President Trump and several other top aides. I can show you the statement that's been issued just now from CNN. It begins by saying, CNN filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration this morning in D.C. District Court. It demands the return of the White House credentials of CNN's chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta. The wrongful revocation of these credentials violates CNN and Acosta's First Amendment rights of freedom of the press and their Fifth Amendment rights to due process. We have asked this court for an immediate restraining order requiring the pass be returned to Jim and will seek permanent relief as part of this process. So what does that mean? Essentially, it means CNN's asking for a hearing today in D.C. District Court, today or tomorrow, sometime this week, to get a temporary order to get Acosta's press pass back right away. Then CNN will also seek what's called permanent relief so that this doesn't happen again in the future.
Brian, to be clear, is there any precedent for a White House revoking the press credentials of a journalist?
There is no case like this that we've found. I've spoken with multiple media lawyers about this. There's almost no precedent for a news organization suing the White House either.
Right.
But with regards to taking away of a press pass, there's very specific guidelines that regulate how press passes are assigned and allotted. Frankly, all past governments, past administrations have been very permissive about press passes, whether it's a Republican administration or a Democratic administration. President Trump took a very extreme action by stripping Acosta's credential with no notice last week. And let me just read the other part of the CNN statement as well, because it points out this is happening to CNN, but it could involve any news organization. The network statement says here, while the suit is specific to CNN and Acosta, this could have happened to anyone. If left unchallenged, the actions of the White House would create a dangerous chilling effect for any journalist who covers our elected officials. This morning, in the last few minutes, the White House Correspondents Association, which represents all of the press corps, has come out with a statement supporting CNN's efforts to reinstate this credential. Because, look, Acosta was the one targeted last week, but it could have been someone from the New York Times or NBC or the Washington Post.
Or in the future, right?
Right.
The president's teed that up.
Exactly. He did that, Brian, on Friday. On Friday, with that gaggle of reporters, when asked about revoking Jim's press pass,
yeah, that's right.
He said, quote, it could be others also. This is a First Amendment case, a freedom of the press case. This is also a due process case. This is also a Fifth Amendment case because you laid out the procedure, the guidelines that have to be gone through before you revoke a press credential.
That's right. There's case law on this that goes back to the 1970s. There was a muckraking journalist named Robert Sherrill who wanted a press pass at the White House. He was denied access. This went on for years, but eventually a judge in D.C. ruled in his favor and said, hey, if you're going to try to deny access to a reporter, you have to have really specific reasons. And in practice, the only reason that's been stated is that the reporter would be a threat to the president. Obviously, nobody in the White House press corps is a threat to the president. And so that's going to be the legal argument that's going to take place in court. And I mentioned the top aides are being sued as well. It's not just President Trump, it's John Kelly, Sarah Sanders, Bill Shine, the head of the Secret Service, and the officer who actually took away the hard pass last week.
We're going to be joined shortly by one of the two lawyers who is taking this case for CNN. One, Ted Olson, of course, won Bush v. Gore in 2000. The other, Ted Boutros, numerous cases, including challenging California's law banning same-sex marriage. We're going to be joined by him shortly. If you're just hearing this, CNN is suing the president and the White House, several top aides, for the revocation of our colleague Jim Acosta's White House credentials.
And something that the president told CNN in an interview in June of 2016 he would not do. He said, quote, I would not do that, meaning take a reporter's credentials away. That has now been done to our colleague, and CNN is taking them to court. We'll have the lawyer on the other side.